Good morning, children. How are you all? So, shall we start our EVS 2 class? Now, children, since we finished our syllabus for PT1, we finished lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. So, today we'll do a quick recap of lesson 1. Okay, children? We'll do a recapitulation of lesson 1. Okay, so what is lesson 1? Yes, we have children lesson 1. You remember? Yes, lesson 1 was what is history. Okay, children, we have lesson 1, that is what is history. And children, what is history? You can see in your book. If you have your textbook, you take out the textbook and you can follow with me. It's given what is history. History is a study of the past. So children, you remember what is history? History is a study of the past, events that happened past, in the long ago. Okay, children? And what does the word past refers? The word past refers to the time that has gone by. It is the time before now. So children, history is a study of the events, of the things that happened in the past, that happened long ago. And the word history comes from the Greek word historia. And children, the word history, from which word it comes? From the Greek word historia. And what does it mean? It means a story or an account of anything that has happened. Okay, children, so it means a story or an account of anything that has happened. It's not that it's going to happen or it's happening. It has already happened, and history is the study of those events. Then children will study what is timeline. It's given, we use the correct order of events to remember and understand the past. A timeline is a drawing that shows the order of events that took place in the past. So you remember timeline? A timeline is a drawing. Okay, it's a line where the past events are shown in a correct order. Okay, and we'll see in the next page. Yes, children, it's shown in the next page. You can see on the timeline, the first event is on the left hand side. Okay, the first event will be on the left hand side, then the next event will come, and similarly to the latest event. Okay, like it's given here, it was the first day of school, then I made a new friend on 2nd June, we planted a seed in the garden, the seed became a plant. Okay, so from the first event to the latest event, the first event will be on the left hand side, and then the event will come one after another. So what is a timeline? A timeline is a drawing. Okay, it's a line where the events are shown one after another. Okay, similarly in history also, this timeline shows the various events which happened in the past. Now children, we come to one more thing, very important thing. It's given here, children. It's given, to learn about history in detail, we need to know more about the sources of history. Now children, in order to learn about history, we'll have to study, we'll have to know about the various things which help to know about history. Some important things are there through which we are able to study what happened in the past, that is in the history. Like it's given here, children, sources of history. You can see here, children, sources of history. Now what are the various sources of history? It's given there. We need objects, materials, building, and written stories to study the past. As I told you, we need objects, materials, buildings, and written stories to study the past, and these are called sources of history. And now children, if you remember, there are 3 sources of history. And what are the 3 sources of history? Yes, we did. It was oral sources. Then oral sources, what are the oral sources? Oral sources are the stories, songs, and poems that people remember. Stories which people used to tell each other, songs which were sung in the past, and poems which were written in the past. Okay, here we can see, children, I have just collected a picture of oral sources. Okay, picture of stories. You can see here stories being told and songs. Okay, these are all oral sources. Then we come to the written sources. What are the written sources? The written sources are stories, songs and poems that people remember. Okay, so what are oral sources? Written sources, children. Written sources are letters, books, plays and travel stories written in the past. So written sources are the various writings, like in the form of letters, books, dramas. Plays means dramas, and travel stories which were written. Oral, just being told by the mouth, okay, orally, but written, where it was written. So it was written before, and it helps to tell us what happened during that time. Like here we can see I have collected a picture of letters, then children, books. Okay, so you can see here letters and books. Okay, these are written sources. Then we have the last sources, which is the archaeological sources. So what are the archaeological sources? Archaeological sources are the famous buildings, tools, clothes, jewelry and many other things, and these things they help to know about the past, that is history. Like children, we have the archaeological sources. Here it's given the monuments. Okay, like picture of monuments is there, then picture of, here these are picture of famous buildings, then picture of children, here different types of clothes worn by people, then we have again jewelry. You can see, yes children, this is also a picture of a jewelry, and these all helps to know about the various what happened in the past. Okay, and these sources are known as archaeological sources. Then children, we have the next, why we need to study history. Yes, why do we need to study what happened in the past? Now let's see why different types of people study what happened in the past. Like, why does a doctor study? A doctor studies history to use the different diseases and treatments of the past. Yes, a doctor studies history to understand the different diseases and treatments of the past, how it was used. Okay, here you can see a doctor treating a child, and if a doctor studies more appropriately what happened in the past, what are the various diseases, and for what disease what cure is used, then he will be able to treat more properly. Then we have children, the next is a journalist. Now who is a journalist? A journalist is a person who studies history to understand the present events better. We know a journalist is a person who writes in the newspaper, who collects the news. And why does he need to study history? To understand the present events better, in order to understand the events which are happening now in a better way. Here we can see a picture of a journalist. Okay children, then we have the need to, then we have an architect. Okay, last we hear an example is given. An architect, why he need to study? An architect is a person, you all know, who constructs buildings, who make a plan of the buildings. And why does an architect need to study history? An architect learns about ways of constructing buildings and materials used in the past. Okay, so he need to study history so that he can understand what are the various ways of constructing buildings and the materials used in the past. Okay children, so here we can see a picture of an architect. Yes, then next we have ways of learning about family history. How we'll know about family history? We can know family history through oral sources such as the stories. In family also, some stories are being told by our elders, by our grandparents, and from those stories we can know about family history. Then for written sources, through written sources like letters, diaries and journals of various family members, we can know about our own family history. And also through, very important, old photographs, clothes, jewelry, videos and any other belongings of our parents, grandparents, uncle and aunts, will be able to know about family history. And lastly children, we have this work of an archaeologist. So who is an archaeologist, children? An archaeologist excavates to find remains of the past. Okay, so an archaeologist, what does an archaeologist do? Digs up the ground to find what is there inside the ground, and whatever things they get inside the ground, they study the past. Then she describes the object's material, shape, and notes its location. If she finds anything, she describes what type of material it's been, what is the shape, and where it is found. Everything she describes. Okay, then she studies the objects and writes the history of the site where they were found. So lastly, she studies the object and she writes the history of where the thing was found. Then we have, children, this is the work of an archaeologist, and then we have the work of a historian. Yes, children, the work of a historian. And what does a historian do? A historian goes through old documents and books by historians and archaeologists. So what does a historian do? A historian, he collects the old documents, whatever the archaeologists or the previous historians have written in the form of books or any in the form of notes. The historian collects and studies them. Then he collects all the informations to write the history of the past. Then he again writes a history of the past. He collects the various information left by the historians and archaeologists, whatever books written by them. Then he again studies them and he again writes a new book and writes about the past. So children, we'll stop till here, and with this we come to the recapitulation of our first lesson. Tomorrow I'll take a quick recapitulation of lesson number 2, lesson number 3. I hope it's clear to you. So children, take care. Okay, we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay, bye bye.